I want you to note that you can get in touch with us via the Kigame Media page. It's on Facebook. You can like the page, and then you can inbox, so that you don't write on the main profile. Don't write on the status, because everybody would read. So you inbox. That way we will be the only ones receiving it. For those of you that can follow my page, it's just Reuben Kigame on Facebook as well. My account is Reuben Kigame. On Instagram, I go by Papa Kigame. So you'll find Papa Kigame on Instagram. I like to answer questions that maybe your friends don't want to answer, or talk to you about situations maybe even your parents may not be able to, not because they are not willing, but sometimes you want to share with somebody else. That's why I'm like that. Now on Twitter, I am there as Reuben Kigame. In case you need to talk to our office staff, you need somebody to talk to you about, you can go to, maybe you can write down this number. It's +254, of course, for the country code, and then 720-22-9999. +254-720-22-9999. And you can also text there, and we will be more than glad to respond to you. So I want to sing with you a song. Is the guitar ready? If it's not ready, I'm going to do it at the end. How do you know? Okay, let's do it at the end. It will still be done. So, I have a brief chat with you, and then I'll take some questions and then sing. I have titled my chat, Life After School. What to expect when you leave here. For some Form 1s, it looks like too long. Even for some Form 2s. Maybe even some Form 3s are thinking, aye, too early. So, I want to talk to you about life after school, primarily because I have been in school, and I have lived that life after school. It's like someone showing you what lies ahead. I've been there, and so I can tell you some things about what to expect. When you leave Form 4, there are 5 things that you are going to have to deal with. There are many, but I'll share 5. The first one is what to do with your time before you go to college. There's going to be that gap before you finally enter college. The second thing is which college to go to. So there is the gap, the time, when you are wondering, hey, 6 months, maybe some people 1 year before you join college. Now, that is number one. So the first one is the time before you join college, right? The second one is which college. Okay? The third thing is which job or career to take. What am I going to be in life? What am I going to be doing for a job or for a living or for career, professional? So the first one is what? So the time before college. Second one, which college? Third one, which career, profession? The fourth one is who to marry. Okay? So, I'm putting them in order of priority. Okay? So, first one, time before. Second one. Third one. Fourth one. Why is that one very loud? Okay. The fifth one is what legacy to leave behind. What legacy to leave behind? In other words, what do I want to be remembered for? In fact, write it down that way. What do I want to be remembered for? So, first one, time before college. Second one, which college? Third one, fourth one, 5. All right. Let's begin with the first one. One of the most difficult times when you leave school, because you're so used to school, you're so used to your dorm or class or friends, the dining hall, the lab, whatever it is, you're busy, for 4 years, you'll be so busy. Then, college is not yet, you're at home, it's a totally different life. Even when you had holiday, it would be maybe 1 month, 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks for the December holidays in the past. Now, you have all this time. What do you do with it? Now, there are many choices you can have. You can certainly help your parents with what they do, part-time in their profession or whatever it is. You can help with housekeeping. In other words, maybe there are things that have not been done for a while. The garden has been left untamed, or maybe for some time there are repairs that you can take care of, minor repairs. So you can busy yourself at home. You could also maybe find a temporary job, because most of you will actually be 18, you have an ID card, so it is possible maybe to come to my daughter Shekina and say, I have learnt music, I can teach how to play violin, and you can be paid something small for that. Or you could maybe go to a company and offer your services for some kind of fee, Or maybe you can go and just do attachment. You like maybe livestock keeping or poultry farming, or you want, to better your sports and develop your athletics, something special, you could do that. But one of the best things that you could do during that time, before you join college, is actually make sure you learn exactly what you want to do in life, the rest of your life. You spend time reading, asking questions, consulting regarding the thing that you really want to do. I know many of you have chosen subjects already, and you've come to a point where maybe you need to choose a particular college or where you will be for the rest of your life in terms of a career. Now, maybe you will get that career, maybe you'll not. What happens if you don't? Your life doesn't come to a standstill. But also, what if you actually get it? It's time to prepare. So that is the time you can go to a cyber cafe, and maybe you want to do aeronautical engineering. So you begin to read about aeronautics and what it takes and which colleges offer it and so on and so forth. You could actually do that. Maybe you want to be a dentist, so you go and read about dentistry. So you spend time. In fact, you begin to read articles about dentistry, you read books about dentistry, and you begin to make your notes, because now you are beginning your career path. Or find somebody who is an architect, you want to do architecture, find somebody, oh, that's amazing. Yeah, find someone who knows about education, you want to be a teacher or a professor, find out. You want to be a lawyer, that is the time to visit a law firm. Yeah, so you read. Maybe that is also the time for you to read the Constitution of Kenya and get to know what it says, because you're going to be interpreting it for us as a lawyer. So that is the time. Maybe you can visit a radio station or a TV station and get to learn what broadcasting is all about. Maybe you visit me and I'll tell you about what it is all about. That is the time to spend setting a stage for what you will be in life. So I'm hoping I don't find somebody idle there wondering, now what do I do with all this time? Ask your parents for guidance. Ask us. That's why I've given you all those contacts, and we'll be more than glad to help you wherever we can. Now, so college then, the second thing. Chances are that a lot of you are going to get the colleges you've chosen. Yeah. But chances are also some of you will not get the colleges you have chosen. Amen? You say amen because, let me tell you, many times God directs in so many interesting ways. I'll give you my own example. I actually wanted to be a lawyer, but I missed it by 2 points. So I ended up doing education. At first, I did not actually like that education option. But tell you what, now I love it. There is a way God can close one door so that you can end up where He wanted you to be. So it's possible. So if you don't get the career choice, the college you have actually wanted to go to, I want to challenge you to know that when a door closes, a window opens. Yes. So don't sit down, believing life has come to an end, because many have been there and God has rearranged their lives. So don't mourn, don't cry, pray, and take up whichever other career comes. And by the way, the truth of the matter is you could always then end up back there. If you didn't get a chance, you can always take another degree. I wish somebody had told me that I was maybe wired for journalism and media stuff, I would have taken that as my first degree and maybe education later. But God ensured that I then got my master's in journalism and media studies. So God can always surprise you. Don't cry for spilt water. Fetch a fresh cup. All right? So now, chances also are that maybe, just maybe, because of limited spaces, you may not be admitted at the college that you chose, or to college at all. If you have the grade to make it to college, Kenya is not the only place to go to college. College za Kenya zikijaa, tafuta college Uganda, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Nigeria, Dubai, Europe, America, Australia, New Zealand, China. Mbona hampendi China? There are so many study opportunities in China, by the way. And job opportunities too. They're always looking for like Swahili language experts. They're looking for English language experts. They're looking for scientists, you know. You could even go to India or Japan. So the point is, don't feel frustrated if you don't find an opportunity in Kenya. The world is big, and there are usually opportunities. Sometimes you may even not have school fees to go to school. I think it would be wise for you to even go online and talk to people about what we call scholarships. A scholarship is money allocated to help you study when you are not able to pay for yourself. So don't think just because your parents cannot afford it that, you know, maybe once I become president or whatever, that I cannot help. I will be able to help. There are people out there always willing to help. Have you ever heard of Wings to Fly? Yes, some people have benefited from, you know, groups like the Equity Group and, you know, foundations that are helping. So I don't want you to go into the college situation thinking life has come to an end when you don't get the college of your choice. Are we together? When you are in college, there will be those holidays or some time allocated for what we call internship. Internship is where you go to a company or an organization and learn how a particular job or career or profession is done. You are not necessarily paid when you're doing internship. So for example, if you want to do architecture, you could be assigned to an architect firm, or you want to do media, you could go to the Nation Media Group or Royal Media or the Standard Group and learn how to do media. So you ask for internship opportunities. You write a letter and they will usually consider you. Many companies are willing to give young people a chance. So don't sit there at home during holidays when you're in college. Make sure you step out and get some internship so that you learn. Now, the first one was time before college. The second one was time in college. The third one? Huh? So which career now? This is where a lot of young people get frustrated. Now I am so good in so many things. I like athletics so much. And I can see that there is a lot of money, you know, when people go to compete, like the Olympics are just here in Tokyo, and you want to make a name, you have a chance, you're good at athletics. But also, you then realize, hey, I'm also good at law. So you're tied. Am I going to be a lawyer or am I going to be an athlete? Then you find out maybe you're also gifted in music. Say, now am I going to start another degree of music or what? No. Now, I learned something from a friend that has really helped me. And that is, when you find yourself so gifted, first of all, it's a blessing. But I also want to help you know how to deal with this. You come up with what you call a priority list. Priority means what comes before what. So, for example, if you are torn between 2 or 3 careers, ask yourself this question. What is this one thing that I enjoy doing so much that I could do even without pay? Even without being paid, I just love it. If you can identify that, then that is probably a lifelong career. So you develop your career along that. Now, there are careers that are time-bound. In other words, for example, for footballers or those who go into athletics, sometimes they want you when you are in your 20s, and maybe when you get to the 30s, they begin to say, maybe you should do some coaching, because they're always looking for younger talents. So most of the, like soccer and so on, are looking more to the younger age. So you probably want to think, what will you be doing when you're 40 or 50 if you want to go into athletics? Unless you really can do coaching and so on, maybe that should be your secondary career. So something you love to do. And by the way, even if you don't make it to college, that question will still apply. What is this one thing that I love doing so much that I can do without pay? Even, it comes naturally. So that is what you will spend your choices on. You develop that. There are a lot of people out there that do not have jobs. They have been to college, or maybe have not even been to college, and they are wondering, nobody wants to hire me. I usually tell them, if nobody wants to hire you, hire yourself. Yes, if nobody will hire you, hire yourself. And you hire yourself by doing what you love. I met a student that just loves to dance. You know, you can make dance your career. There are people who go to school, there are courses on dance. Yes, there are. There are people who just love theater, acting, Yes. And there are careers in acting. So, all you need to do is find a good place to train and develop your skill. Don't just do stuff, also develop them. Develop so that you become good at it. There are people, if you just talk about nutrition, and catering, they are ready to go. There are so many here. I'm so happy that we are not going to be hungry after school. They really know how to lay those things and serve and so on. There are service industries, hotels and restaurants, and you can even do outside catering where you serve at events. You know your decor, you know how to lay the tents, and maybe you now reach out to those who have been doing public speaking and theater, and you call them to be your MCs. Maybe some of you will become some good DJs. So there are all these careers. There's some of you, that I am going to need. For example, we are going live. We are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, all this that is going on. But somebody has to do it. I can't be sitting at that board there and doing the camera work and so on and talking to you at the same time. So careers are about networking. Nobody is all sufficient by themselves. So identify your career and work at it. So the first one was time. Time before? Time before college. The second one? Which college? And if you don't end up in college, you can still make a career. The third one? Okay, the fourth one? Okay, so let's talk about who to marry. The challenge that many young people get into is dating people they will never marry. You get? In other words, you just enter a relationship because now you're 18 or you start a relationship because the emotions are there, the looks are there, and you feel you can appeal to somebody. So you start a relationship. But many times, young people enter relationships for experiment. Yes, it's just like, my deski has a boyfriend, I also must get a boyfriend. Sasa inakuwa ako naye, hata mimi nitakuwa naye. If you approach a relationship like that, quite likely you will begin dating somebody that you will never marry. Kwa sababu ni ma-feeling tu. Na ma-compare. Yeah, competing. I have, you have, we have, so. Yeah. And then, at your age, most people who will come to try and date you actually don't really want to marry you. You will find, for example, you will find maybe a boy from Chebisas or Alliance boys or Mangu boys. And I can see from the schools that you really like to get husbands from. So, let me tell you this, that even though they will come and approach you, quite likely you are not the only girl they have seen. So, and now let me talk to you as a man. I know men, for sure, that pride, they brag before one another and say, me, I have 3. Niko na wa Moi girls, niko na wa Alliance girls, na niko na wa Star of the Sea. Mademu watatu. So, when he sees the one from Moi girls, says, you're the most beautiful highland in the world, Then goes to the one from Alliance and says, you are the only bean in my githeri. Then goes to the one from star of the sea and says, "You are the only fish in the ocean." Now, all of the three girls feel this guy, is my Romeo, Kumbe, you are not the only one. So I know some people who live that way. Now, let me tell you another thing about men as you prepare for that future. And I'm telling you as a man. Now, listen and listen well. If you fail in school, hardly will any man who has been to school want to associate with you. Because they want to brag and say, "Me, I'm educated girl." It doesn't mean that those who don't make it in school so well will not find husbands. They will. But most boys will not want to be associated with failure. So, one of the biggest secrets in getting a good, successful, and moneyed husband is pass your exams. Watakutafuta. And then have direction in life. Have a career. Then they will not look at you like a desperado, someone who is so desperate you just want anyone in a trouser. So, in order to find the who to marry, that means that you've got to take care of yourself. There are many times when I tell my daughters, my sons, and so on, true love waits. And they think, "Reuben, what are you talking about?" If somebody really loves you, then they can wait for you. If they are too impatient, run. Run. I know that when you leave school, or maybe even when you go to holiday, you will hear statements like, everybody's doing it, wacha tutufanye, and then you will hear something like, sasa hata utajuaje uko sawa, so people will tell you all kinds of things. The thing is, you are not a testing ground. You are not a trash. You are not a basket. And some of the consequences are so dire, they are so big. So picture yourself, maybe you try something over the holidays, you're 14 or 15, the boy is 16 or 17, then you conceive, you're a child, he is a child, and now you have another child. You don't know what to do. The baby is crying. Umemanage kuzaa ndio. The baby is crying. You start crying. Then he comes and looks at two children crying and starts crying as well. Frustration. There are consequences. True love. Again, true love? Yes. If it is so good, it can be waited for. Ukiona vyaelea, basi kaundwe. Jiunde sahi na masomo na career yako, you'll be so marketable. They will be fighting for you. But if they notice you are desperate, kuja hapa, kuja unaenda, kuja huku unaenda. You know what? They'll look at you and begin to say, that girl is so cheap. Anaenda tu na kila mtu. So, prepare well, because God has a good plan for you. A very good plan for you. And by the way, even those feelings that you get, you know, the liver quiver, and you get, you know, goosebumps and gunyiriris, and, you know, those emotions are going nowhere. Nobody ever died from abstaining. But some people have died from not abstaining. The first one was time before God. The second one, the third one, the fourth one, now the last one. Yes, which legacy are you going to leave? Or, like I put it differently, what do I want to be remembered for when I'm gone? Everybody leaves behind a legacy. The issue is it a good legacy or a bad legacy? Even in this school, if you think about those who left, they just completed Form 4. I'm sure every one of them, when a name is mentioned, you know, Mary, or Chemutai, or Anyango, or Kaleche, you know, every time you hear a name like that, I'm sure you think of something. Sindio? Now, when I mention my daughter's name here, for example, Shema Kigame, what do you think? What do you remember, or what comes to your mind? Ati? One person? One person? Piano. Oh, okay. So you see, now, so when your name is mentioned, what do you think comes to the mind of people? For some of us, when our name is mentioned, people just think about my lost pen. Ninajua, ni yeye alichukua. Or sticky fingers. Akigusa kitu, hautakiona tena. Some of us are remembered that way. Some of us, the greatest noise maker. For some of us, we are remembered, sadly, for friendship with drugs. Some of us are remembered for prayer. Some of us are remembered for being a chop. Some of us are remembered for sleeping too much. We are all remembered for something. Some of us are remembered for never having enough food at the dining. Sahani moja haitoshi, ya pili haitoshi, ya tatu haitoshi, ya nne haitoshi. Ni vile wanakuambia, hata wewe bwana, wachi yako wengine. Okay. So this is the point. Supposing, you know, by the way, even Form 1s leave a legacy. I'm sure as Form 1s, you're remembered for something. As Form 2s, as Form 3s, everyone leaves a legacy. Even your parents leave a legacy. Even your teachers, they leave a legacy. even the non-teaching staff, even Kigame, Reuben, coming to you here leaves a legacy. So the question is, what legacy are you leaving behind? What memories? Let me dramatize it for you. Who has ever been to a cemetery? Anyone? Wengine mnaogopa cemetery, mnafikiri mashetani yako huko mengi. But there are so many lessons at cemeteries. One of them, the next time you pass by, look at what is called a tombstone. A tombstone is that stone that sits on the tomb. Sometimes things are written there on the stone, marble or whatever the case may be. So, I don't know what you have seen written, but usually you find something like, here lies, and then the name, then the, born, maybe 1800, died 1870. I'm just using that so that you don't relate to someone current. And then there's usually a sentence summarizing who they were. Usually that writing or that particular summary is usually called an epithet. E-P-I-T-H-E-T. Epithet. Or epitaph. E-P-I-T-A-P-H. And by the way, it's H, not H, okay? All right. Now, the question is, what epithet do you wish to see, or since you'll be gone, would you like people to see on your tombstone? I visited Germany once, and somebody took me to a graveyard in the south of Germany, in a city called Kontal, a little village town, Kontal. Now, there, he showed us, here lies Ludwig Krapf, missionary in East Africa. And then another one, here lies Johannes Rebmann, missionary in East Africa. Do you do German here? No? Okay. So we will not bore you with the German. Now, I was a university student then, a history student as well. I was studying the thing. So now, since I had been taught that these two gentlemen were buried in Rabai, and I came across their tombstones in Kontal, Germany, I wrote to my professor of history at the time. Usually those days you'd write a postcard, so I wrote a postcard and asked Dr. Mwaniki, where were these two gentlemen buried? In Rabai or in Kontal? I did not get an answer back. I was thanked for the postcard, but he didn't have an answer. But I figured the answer myself. Actually, somebody can be buried in 10 different places. You bury the legs in Kakamega, the stomach in Wasingishu, the shoulders in Kisii, you bury the head in Rabai. You are dead anyway. What is important is what you are remembered for. I want to close with some words from the pen of the Apostle Paul in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7 and 8. Paul is writing to Timothy and saying, actually beginning at verse 6, I'm being poured out like a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come, he says. Verse 7, he says, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Wow, you guys know this. 3 things: fought the good fight, finished the race, kept the faith. And then he says in verse 8, and I know that ahead of me is a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me, and not just to me, but also to all those who love his appearing. Now, that is what Paul wanted to be remembered for, having fought the good fight, having finished the race, having kept the faith. What legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered for? Some of our leaders in Kenya will be remembered for some of the worst things. Some of the pastors with bad examples will be remembered for very bad examples. Some of the teachers will be remembered for some words that they spoke to students that were good or bad. Some of the students will be remembered for what they said to other students, fellow students, prefects to students, students to prefects. Oh yes. Sometimes students mistreat prefects. Some of the things parents have said to children, or children to parents. And as I close, maybe some of you are actually struggling with something your father or your mother told you. Some people, maybe a teacher, maybe a senior, told you you will amount to nothing. Or, wewe ni mjinga sana. Do you know that that is only their opinion? God thinks very differently of you. I think very differently of you. And many, many people mean well for you. So throw all that aside. Take your space. Leave a legacy. Let us read your books. Let us remember your career success. Most of all, let us remember how you loved people and how you loved God. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kigame, for the wonderful speech. We have a few questions that I would wish that he gives answers. 1, how do you deal with situations where atheists approach you with questions about religion and they hold very great points against it using science and history?
Yeah. Let me just respond to that, and then she'll take the next one. How do you respond to atheists? Atheists are people who believe there is no God or there are no gods. And they come to you and they use science and sophisticated arguments and so on. Now, there are 3 ways to respond. 1 is you also need to know what atheism believes, or what atheists teach. So just because you don't like atheism, don't run away from it. Get to know what they believe and teach. That is the only way you can be prepared to answer them. Secondly, love to study so much so that you can find accurate answers even for atheism. For example, atheists many times argue that Christians are not scientific or don't love science, and so they think science has all the answers. It is so interesting because most of the founding fathers of science were Christians. Isaac Newton and all the calculus and the barometer and gravity and so on. He was a serious born-again Christian. Michael Faraday and the electronic dynamo, he was a Christian. Louis Agassiz, Steno, these guys were wonderful Christians. Isaac Newton wrote 40% more on Christian subjects than he did on physics. There is a small book by Henry Morris that you can write down. Henry Morris, that is called Men of Science, Men of God. You will be amazed. It's a little book you can read over the 1 week when you go home. You can even download it for free. It's available online. Men of Science, Men of God. It will show you that science and faith do not clash. In fact, to be honest with you, all science begins with faith. Because you are investigating, you're researching to find out. You believe you'll find an answer. So there is no clash between science and religion. I think I believe it was Albert Einstein who says science without religion is lame, and religion without science is blind. It's amazing. The two go hand in hand. Now, as for sophisticated answers, all you need to do is love knowledge. There are enough answers. At the university, I teach something called apologetics. And apologetics is the study of how to answer questions that are asked about what you believe. And lastly, atheism has some loopholes that I would like to mention to you. Now follow me closely because it may get a bit complicated. When you write down the word atheism, you have that prefix A, the A before theism, okay? Are we together? The prefix. The suffix is theism, yes? The prefix is A, the A. So atheism is a negation of theism. Theism is the belief in God. Atheism means no belief, or the negation of belief in God. Now, the problem with that particular way of looking at the existence of God is that you need a God that you deny. In other words, you're saying there is no God. If you don't have a God, you cannot deny a God. You get it? If I tell you no microphone, okay? It means there is a microphone that you are denying, isn't it? So no God. It means there is a God of whom you say that God does not exist. So you cannot go so far in terms of language because atheism is formed on negation. But also atheism does not answer certain fundamental questions. For example, the origin of life and the universe as a whole. Because the physical universe cannot cause itself. Usually in science and so on, you will come across something called causasui. Causasui, C-A-U-S-A, sui, S-U-I. Self-cause. You cannot have a self-cause. You cannot cause yourself to be. A rock cannot cause itself to be. So there is a principle in science, the principle of causality. And so I hope that you see how atheism cannot really postulate the origin of the universe, and in particular because the universe displays intelligent design. And with intelligent design, you need intelligence. For example, if you have a book like that of Ngugi wa Thiong'o, you know, a book like that does not come about because of an explosion in the printing press. Boom! Then all the letters are in place, you have words and you have a novel. No. Causality. Atheism is a little bankrupt on causality. But also, even when it postulates, for example, Darwinism or evolutionism, for example, or even goes the direction of a Big Bang. Now, the Big Bang needs a Big Banger. You cannot have a Big Bang by itself. When you talk about itself, there is causation. So, atheism becomes a bit vacuous, and we can always go a little farther if you want. But at the end of the day, even evolution does not answer the question of origin and the state of the universe. Let me give you one example and then leave that question behind. For example, in the Bible, we read that God created everything perfect. Everything was good. In science, especially physics, we have the principles of thermodynamics. So the second law of thermodynamics, for example, says energy within a closed system like our universe runs down as time increases. So the principle of entropy, in other words, you run out of usable energy within a closed system. So if that is the case and you measure evolution against it, what happens is thermodynamics will work against survival of the fittest, because you're coming from less perfect forms to more perfect forms. Thermodynamics says you're coming from a more perfect form to a less perfect form. So you find a contradiction seated within that law that does not fit with evolution. So I hope I answered your question. All right.
Thank you so much. I hope it was not too much of vocabularies. Okay. The second, I think, is a request. Somebody's asking, are you willing to offer free production to a song written by a student in this school?
The answer is simple, yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. Our time is much spent. So, Form 3 better. As the rest leave, kindly remain behind. You say hello to the speaker. Form 3 better. So the rest, we can share the grace as you leave for lunch. A song? Oh yeah, they want to give us a song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it. I'd like to sing for you a song about my motherland. I do write many songs in reggae and rock, and occasionally I try R&B, whatever, but I also do country stuff. So let me sing you a country song, because country songs tell stories. Life has been cruel to me, and I have longed for a shoulder to lean on. I have nursed much insomnia. There's been nothing worth keeping for a dream. I have seen the coldness of the city boys and the lies of the city girls. Oh, the pain of street children. Perhaps it's time to go right to the start. Sweet Bunyore, do you remember me? And if I come, will you receive me? Oh, sweet Bunyore, have you a place for me? Or am I just a child of fate? I hear as the clouds begin to swell again, how I long to hear your rivers flow, and the morning birds begin their praises as they join the whole creation in their mighty song to the King of Kings. Sweet Bunyore, do you remember me? And if I come, will you receive me? Oh, sweet Bunyore, have you a place for me? Or am I just a child of fate? There's a place where the heart may find the answers, and the body find its rest in the evening. 'Tis the story of a tired man lost in a world that is lost. Sweet Bunyore, do you remember me? And if I come, will you receive me? Oh, sweet Bunyore, have you a place for me? Or am I just a child of fate? Sing about your home. Sweet, do you remember me? And if I come, will you receive me? Oh, sweet, have you a place for me? Or am I just a child of faith? Thank you. Now, please stand. Everybody stand. I'll sing this chorus once, and then all of you will sing the second time around with me, okay? My land is Kenya, so warm and wild and free. You'll always stay with me here in my heart. My land is Kenya, from your highlands to the seas. You'll always stay with me here in my heart, here in my heart. Everyone, my land is Kenya, so warm and wild and free. You'll always stay with me here in my heart. My land, Right from your highlands to the sea, you'll always stay with me, here in my heart, here in my heart. One last time, my land is Kenya. My land is Kenya, so warm and wild and free, so warm and wild and free. You'll always be, you'll always stay with me, here in my heart. My land is Kenya, my land is Kenya. Right from your highlands to the sea, you'll always stay with me, here in my heart, here in my heart. Thank you. Okay.
Let's sit. Let's get seated. Wow, thank you so much. I made a special request for that song when I was calling him to come and speak, and he did it, and I love it. Thank you so much. Now, there are people who didn't forward their questions on time, and if there are still more, kindly forward them quickly. A few more to ask. How or what do you do as a leader when you face opposition from people you are leading and you compromise a lot for them? Silence, 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 silence. How or what do you do as a leader when you face opposition from people you are leading and you compromise a lot for them and you are very lenient, but they are still opposeful and give you a hard time? Another question, silence. Are you the people being referred to? Okay, be silent then, be quiet. The second question, did God know I would sin before he created me? If yes, why did he create me? And does he know where I will go after death, hell or heaven? Another question, silence, silence. So how does one know when they have their heart broken? Because sometimes you're just happy, even when you know you ain't fine. Is there a way to know when your heart is broken?
Thank you. Wow. Wonderful questions. Because there are many, I'll try to be very brief. Let me begin with the last one. How do you know that your heart is broken? First of all, many people whose hearts are broken will not ask that question because they just know, they feel awful. And some of the things I referred to in my sermon will begin happening to you. You feel you're not understood. You feel even when you are in the midst of friends, they cannot understand you. Sometimes you do not want to live, you just want to die. You know, you get so depressed and stressed to a level where you feel like you could do something to yourself. That is quite likely a sign of a broken heart. Sometimes you just find yourself, you wake up in the morning, you don't want to face the day. So you just want to sleep. Not because you can't study, but you don't feel like studying. That is probably a sign of a broken heart. Sorrow, sadness, and just a feeling of being low. Those are some of the commonest signs. Now, the first thing you do is certainly pray to your Maker, because it may not even be easy to get a counselor or someone to talk to you immediately. So if you start feeling that way in the morning or at night when everybody is asleep, just talk to God and say, Lord, this is where I am. I'm feeling awful. Help me. The second thing is look for a counselor. Usually every school has guidance and counseling. Don't feel like those people cannot help you. And if they can't, then look for a teacher that you understand, that listens to you, and talk to them about it. If you are at home, your parents cannot talk to you or you can't face them, something happened that if you told your dad or your mom something will happen, then inbox us or call us. We give you the phone number. We can find you a counselor or help you ourselves. Now, on the second question, on did God know that I was going to sin? If he knew I was going to sin, why did he create me? And does he know where I'm going to spend eternity? The truth of the matter is that such a question is asked because we believe that God lives or operates primarily in time. Like he has yesterday, today, tomorrow. But God is beyond time. Meaning that Adam and Eve and their stories, Abraham, Jacob, your great-great-grandfathers, those that have died, and those that are living now, and those who are going to be born, are not before him with regard to years. Adam is as present to God as you. And the children you are going to get 20 years from now. Because God is beyond time. In other words, he sees all of reality as one. That is why the Bible would say 1 day is like 1,000 years before God, and 1,000 years like 1 day. So he's not only seeing your sin or failure or success as an eternal reality, but he's also seeing where you'll spend eternity, because the choices you make before him are basically read within an eternal presence. Now, as for the first question, you're a leader and you try to lead people. Sometimes they become so difficult. You try to compromise and listen to them, and they don't seem to understand. What do you do? First of all, I would begin by telling you, if you are appointed to be a leader, and you are sure that this is one thing that is so difficult that it is going to interfere with your studies, give you a hard time, and so on, I challenge you not to take it up. Because you are going to be frustrated like crazy. As a leader, you have to be prepared for both good times and bad times, and face them with courage, because you're supposed to provide direction. If it is too heavy, just tell your teacher, tell the headmistress, the principal, tell them, so that you don't live your life miserable for 4 years or 1 year. But secondly, leadership requires preparation. I'll give you my own example. As soon as I announced that next year I'm going to be running to become your 5th president, the first discouraging remarks came from Christians who wrote on my Facebook page. The comments are still there. When you go home, some of you will read them. They're saying, "You are backsliding." They say, "You are leaving your calling behind." Some said, "Now you are hungry for money and power." Some say, "Now who is going to sing for us?" Things like that. Now, it's been about 3 months since I declared that interest. And I announced it officially last Wednesday on 7th. Now, am I still singing? I just sang for you, isn't it? Yes. Am I still preaching? Yes. So why are they worried? In fact, I hope I can become the first singing president. I hope when I become president, God willing, that the chaplain, the administration will still invite me to preach to you. So you have to be prepared for negative criticism. Now listen to me very carefully, because I need to give you a more difficult example where you can be misunderstood. On Friday morning, I was on Spice FM, run by Standard Group. And I was asked how, if I became president, I would handle a question like people who come to, people who have what they call interesting lifestyles. Like, lesbians, bisexuals, the LGBTQI++. So, I said that their humanity, their being human, made in the image of God, comes first before their status. In other words, I said I would treat them first of all as human beings before I can share with them the fact that that lifestyle may be destructive. In other words, even if you are my enemy, let's just imagine that you really hate me and I'm your president. My first obligation is to feed you, to ensure you have food, you have medicine, you have a job. Then we can argue about all these other things. Because the call to be president is a call to be there for all. For example, although I'm a Christian, I cannot say I'll be a president for Christians only. I have to also take care of Muslims. I have to. They are my citizens. They are my people. Even atheists, by the way, they would still be my children, my friends, because I would be a president for all. As for my faith, I believe in God. I believe certain lifestyles are actually wrong and destructive. But just because, God condemns sin, he doesn't say look for sinners and kill them and hate them. No. So sometimes you have to make tough decisions as a leader. Most of all, though, if you are a leader, you need to lead by example. And that is what I hope to bring to the country. That if we say corruption is wrong, then I must never be caught being corrupt. In fact, that is what I'm saying, that I hope Kenyans this time choose people they know not to be corrupt, so that they can protect your money and resources. They can plan well with the citizens in mind. So if you are a prefect, you have to be fair to all. You must be. If you are a prefect and you are a leader of the Christian Union, or you're a Christian who is a Catholic, you then don't, make sure that you mistreat, the SDAs or the Muslims. You treat all people the same under school rules. And so that fairness is so critical, because if you want to be a leader in future, you have to start demonstrating that you are a leader now. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we are being helped. Our time is far much gone. It is already 1:30. I don't know, will you take lunch, or you're foregoing lunch for this? Okay, let's take 2 more. So many of them are grateful. They are thankful for the support that they've got. They are requesting for a song. Satan is a liar, or something like that. Yes, those are the ones requesting. And then one question, kindly listen. Kindly listen. How do you deal with the laws of maybe a parent, you feel like you hate God, you just want to go to the other world and be with the people or the person. Sometimes you feel like you are envious of those who have both parents. You feel like God is unfair. Sometimes it hits so hard that you can't control your emotions. How do you deal with that? That is one. How to open up after having bottled up your problems and want to mend your broken heart. Then, what encouragement would you give someone who is disabled and thinks they do not have hope in life? That's a good one. If I made a mistake before that I cannot correct and I regret and feel really bad about what I did, I can't talk to someone because I'm an introvert. What do I do? Thank you.
Okay. So I was taking mental notes. I hope I remember all of them. So if I forget something, Mwalimu will remind me. So let's begin with the steps now to deal with a broken heart. The first thing is accept that your heart is broken. Because it's only when you accept that you can get help. Talk to somebody and tell them, my heart is broken, I feel awful. If you keep it to yourself, it will hurt you, it will get deeper and worse, and it will lead to worse decisions. Now, let's deal with the person who has lost a loved one, a parent, or maybe guardian, even someone who was so close to them. You feel envious, maybe of those who have parents. Now, the truth of the matter is it is not easy. Like I shared in the sermon, my family and I have been there. Even my wife now, Julie, lost the mother, lost the father, lost the brother. We recently lost someone very, very close to us in the family because of COVID. And loss is very hard. First of all, to those who stay with people who have undergone loss. Don't go telling somebody, utakuwa tu sawa, wacha kulialia. No. In fact, crying can be very therapeutic. It can help you to deal with it. So don't say too much. Be there, if you want to cry with them, as the emotion may be so heavy, allow yourself to go through the grieving process. Usijifinye sana, na you try to be so strong for others. No, be yourself. Talk to somebody about it, and make sure that at the end of the day, your problem is shared. Now, God promises comfort. The example of many of us that have gone through grief can encourage you to know that it may be so painful, but you can make it. You can make it. It's almost 15 years now since it happened to us. We are still keeping on strong, and we are a testimony that God can hold somebody's hand and help them. Don't be like the friends of Job, who was suffering and going through struggles, and his friends began to tell him, maybe it's because you have sinned, or because your parents sinned, or whatever. No. Sometimes God allows these things because we are human, but also for other purposes. So be strong in case you've gone through this, and know that you can make it. Give me the other questions, please. Sorry. Oh yeah, physical disability. I want to tell you that God is not unaware. God is fully aware of your situation. And through the Bible, we see people that lived with disability, and some of them, even the greatest preachers like Paul, had what he described as a thorn in the flesh. And then you have someone like Mephibosheth that stayed at the house of David, the son of Jonathan, yes, Jonathan, the son of Saul. So he had someone with disability, and there are blind people in the Bible. If you read Isaiah 42 verse 16, God actually says he will lead the blind in the ways they do not know and will be close to them. Jesus said in John 9 that some of these things happen so that the will of God would be made manifest. So God is not unaware. Even Moses had a stammering problem, but God used them. Secondly, I guess I can stand here as a positive example that disability doesn't limit anyone from achieving a lot in life. And I'm hoping that this can be demonstrated again and again. There was one more. Is that it? That's it. So thank you so much. You guys are just awesome. May God bless you and keep you. Can I? The song? Yes. Can we sing something together? Yes. Which one? You're a liar. Yes. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to request the media team to actually terminate the stream. They have to stop streaming, because if I sing it and it's not my song, it's going to attract what you call copyright strikes. So allow me to ask them to turn off the live broadcast, and then we can do the song. Is that okay? Yes. If you want the song to go on the stream, then we sing a song that I have written. Okay? So which one? Huniachi. This side? All right, let's do this. So team, feel free to turn off. Thank you, viewers, for being with us today. Remember that you can leave your comments on the comment section. The service came to you live from Moi Girls, Eldoret, Kenya.
atakulinda. Bwana atakulinda na mabaya yote, yeye atailinda nafsi yako, utokapo na uingiapo wewe, Bwana atakulinda. Nitainua macho yangu katika Bwana, nitainua macho yangu nitazame milele.